Hello, people. It's 4:44 in Australia, quarter to five, 16 minutes to 5 p.m. It's morning time where Tolu is, and we're going to interview someone from heaven, and I hope you enjoy this. Do my best to stay awake and be conversant and alive and within my right mind. And I can't promise that I won't make a mistake. And I make mistakes from time to time, but the people who follow me regularly love me for who I am. And that's essentially all we need to be loved for who we are. So Tulu is running this ship. She's the captain, and I'll pass you over to the shipmaster.
So are those disclaimers, Matthew? Disclaimers, please. I'm not promising I might be tired. And please, I might say things that is incorrect. Yeah, Matthew, I've come to understand that sometimes the things that you say are incorrect. But largely, let's say you're 70% there. So 30%, but at least 70% is a good mark. That's distinction, don't you think?
Yeah, I
So
think it's more than 70%, but
well, that's my own gauge, Matthew, 70%. You influence the conversations a lot by your own thoughts, by your own theology, by your own mindset. But it's okay. Just like Ben said, that's the best I've got. So I'm going to maximize the best I've got, Matthew. So let's welcome people listening to us now. So we welcome you, Papa, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and we welcome the inhabitants of earth. We welcome inhabitants of heaven, Diana, June, and Bethany. We welcome you. I especially welcome my invisible 12 teams as well. Jehovah is you I'm always drawn to because you're an angel. So I welcome you as well, Jehovah. I love that name, Matthew. If probably I would give a child that name, Matthew, if it was possible. Jehovah.
no, you have all your children named after A, so
E, not A's.
E,
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 letter
E,
E.
E.
Yes, yes.
Jehovah would stand out as different.
It doesn't really matter. I
Emmanuel,
mean,
Alana, Alicia, Alora.
yeah, Emmanuel, Eliora, Elisha, Ilana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. I'm very organized, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. You're the best I've got to work with.
You're
Yeah.
repeating
And
my words to
when
me.
when I when I don't do 100%, you sort of like the referee that says no, that one was Matthew, that one doesn't get recorded. Let's strike that one from the record. Uh, you're talking too much now, Matthew. Come on, please, 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 shut up, please. Let's change the subject. So, you're a good referee, and people are happy that you're here refereeing things.
Oh, thank you, Matthew. So who are we speaking to today?
I don't know.
Do you think you could guess? We've never spoken to this person, Matthew. So so this is a new
The Pharaoh.
person. I almost did Pharaoh, but not today, Matthew. But we will do Pharaoh soon. Maybe this week as well. I don't mind. But not Pharaoh today. So the person that we're speaking to today is Prophet Samuel.
Samuel.
Yeah.
It was said about Samuel that none of his words fell to the ground.
You mean in the Bible?
That means when no one's words fell to the ground, it means that none of his prophecies proved to be untrue. They were all correct.
So who said that?
Someone writing the account of Samuel, whoever wrote
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay. Well. All I remember about Samuel is very little. How he was born, how he heard the voice of God at the age of 8, serving in the house of, what's the name of the guy? Is it Eli?
Eli, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe I remember that. Eli, yeah. And how he was so devoted. His mother left him at a very young age in the church. Oh my God, Anna is so brave to do that. So, and then Samuel was guiding King Saul, something like that. He anointed King David, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad for my little knowledge of the Bible. It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not comprehensive, but it's not bad.
Well, who cares about comprehensiveness, Matthew, when it comes to the Bible? What difference does it make in your life?
Yeah.
So let's welcome, but before we welcome him, let's introduce who Prophet Samuel is to the audience.
Yeah,
So
to
that,
the people on Earth, I'd like to know.
yeah, so that they will know who we are speaking to. So who is Samuel? Samuel is one of the greatest prophets and spiritual leaders in the Bible. It stands at the turning point between the period of the Judges and the beginning of Israel's monarchy. But more than that, Samuel is remembered as a man who learned to recognize God's voice from childhood and spent his entire life helping others hear it too. If Moses teaches us how to walk with God, Samuel teaches us how to listen to God. Samuel's story began before he was born. His mother, Anna, was unable to have children and prayed passionately for a son. She promised God that if he gave her a child, she will dedicate him to God's service. And God answered that prayer. So when Samuel was still very young, Anna brought him to serve at the tabernacle under the priest Eli. So one night, while Samuel was sleeping, he heard his name called. He assumed Eli was calling him. 3 times he ran to Eli. Finally, Eli realized it was God speaking to the boy. So he told Samuel, if he calls again, speak loud, for your servant is listening. So Samuel did. That moment shaped the rest of his life. So Samuel became known throughout Israel as a prophet whose words carry unusual authority. Matthew, coming back to what you said. People sought his wisdom because they believe he listened carefully before speaking. He did not merely deliver messages, he represented God's perspective to a nation. And before Israel had kings, Samuel served as a judge. He guided nations spiritually, settled disputes, and called people back to God. His leadership combined wisdom, courage, and integrity. One of Samuel's greatest responsibilities was anointing Israel's first king, Saul. At first, Samuel believed Saul had a great potential, but as Saul repeatedly chose his own judgment over God's instructions, Samuel confronted him with difficult truth. And one of Samuel's best known statements is to obey is better than sacrifice. So this was not merely about ritual. Samuel was teaching that relationship with God cannot be replaced by outward acts of devotion. And that's what we do today. So many outward acts of devotion, but no relationship with Him. So after Saul's decline, God sent Samuel to Bethlehem. There, Samuel expected God to choose one of Jesus' impressive older son. Instead, God chose the youngest shepherd, David. And God told Samuel, people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And this became one of the defining lessons of Samuel's life. So his character, Samuel was known for listening before speaking, courageously telling the truth, integrity in leadership, humility, faithfulness over an entire lifetime. Unlike many leaders, scripture records no major moral scandal associated with him. So Samuel's greatest disappointment may have been watching the nation reject God's leadership and demand a human king. God told Samuel, they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me as the king. So Samuel had to learn that even faithful leadership cannot control people's choices. So Samuel's life was built around conversation with God. He did not seem to rush. He listened, he waited, he discerned. His confidence came not from personality, but from attentiveness. So, in one sentence, Samuel was a prophet, judge, and spiritual mentor whose lifelong attentiveness to God helped shape an entire nation during one of the most significant transitions in Israel's history. Wow! That's such an excellent CV. Don't you think, Matthew?
Yeah, I can't say this is Samuel. I can't. I'm humbled by what that document said about me. I just, you know, I'm. I was going to say I'm just like Matthew, but Matthew's got so many problems with him. I not care to explain myself like that, but in this aspect, I'm like Matthew. I'm just a simple man. I'm just listening to God and doing what God said to do. I taught prophets and I taught people how to be prophetic, and I had teaching abilities and leadership abilities, and I recognized that I had skills and talents, but my my ability and my success come from the fact that I was just a humble little boy who grew up with God and grew up trusting God and understanding God and speaking His words and speaking His will. And I sort of had a happy, successful, God-centric life. And yeah, it would be good. It would be fortunate if there was more in the Bible about me, so people could learn. But God doesn't ask for much; He just asks for everything. And you know, and people don't give Him everything. Oh, why does Matthew keep on leading us back as saints talk and God talks? Why does Matthew keep on leading us back to the parable of the hidden treasure or the pearl of great price? Because the proper spiritual life is giving up everything to possess God, and important to you people in heaven, you atheists and your witches and your Buddhists who are starting to visit God. The way to success and prosperity and happiness in the kingdom of God in heaven is just to forsake everything, just to take everything you have and lay it at the Father's feet and become His servant, because His life for you, His life and plans for you, and what you're going to achieve is far greater than your own plans and your own life and your own desires. And people don't understand that. First of all, they don't understand the parable of the hidden treasure and the pearl of great price. And perhaps the best reason Matthew wrote 4 versions of that book is to get those parables into him, because the whole of the Christian experience revolves around those parables. But you know, you're not to know that when Jesus said, "Unless a man hates his mother, father, sister, brothers, lands, possessions, for my sake, he's not worthy of me." You look at scriptures like that, and you say, well, you can't hate your mother and father and sisters and brothers. And even when you have it explained to you that hate isn't hate, it's love less. Unless you love your mother, father, sister, brother, children less than you love God, or less than you love Jesus, you're not worthy of me. And people don't understand that scripture, that that you can love God and give your life in service to Him and start following His direction and His will, and your need for parents and your need for brothers and sisters and your need for children, your need for a wife diminish as
Mm.
it's overcome by the purpose and the destiny and the plan and the mission that God has you on. One lady, Matthew, heard about one time, you know, gave up the desire to have children because of that promise in the Bible that much more, anyone who's given up such and such, such that will have all these things plus more in this life and the life to come. And she gave up her desire to be married and have children. And she went to the mission field and she became a mother to thousands of children, and thousands of children saw her as their mother. And she was so richly blessed because that scripture is true. And people fear, sadly, people fear that if they give up their life, they're going to lose everything. They think that Jesus or God is unfair and wants to make them into a religious zealot, and they want to destroy their life. And it's easy for people to consider that because that's what they see Christians do and Christian leaders do, and they think that that's the norm. But
Mm.
God really has the best life for you in heaven and on earth. And if you're able to find out what the architect, the person who drew up the plans for your building, if you're able to talk to him and consult with him about his plans for your life, you find that his plans for your life are far greater than your life, and that your actual act of giving up everything is what's needed to action that, put that forward into action. So my mother couldn't have a child, and she promised God that if He gave her a child, He'd give her up, and she gave me up. She gave up everything she had. I was precious to her, and then my life came out of that action, and God used me because I was His. I was His from a young child. And God just wants you to be His.
Wow, that was a nice introduction. Oh my God. You said something there that is quite profound and a little bit deep. So maybe you need to explain that a little bit. You said God does not ask for much, He just asks for everything.
Yeah, well, when God asks for your life, it's rarely done in one thing. You don't have a service and then your whole life is God's. He tends to take things in increments, in small steps.
Mm.
No, if you live in a Christian tradition, and we're going to largely try and focus on everyone, especially the witches and the atheists. But if you live in the Christian tradition, they have a thing called baptism where they dunk you into some water and you go in as your normal flesh and you come out as a new life in Christ. And it's like
Mm.
a symbol of dying to yourself. Like your old life is going down in the water and the new life is coming up. And if there was actually a system, if there was actually an occasion where God fully possesses your life, that
Yeah,
would be good. It'd be a good thing to point to, but few people go on and do great things after their baptism. Most of them go back to their flesh and do things the normal way and
absolutely.
don't really obey God and don't really give their whole life to God. So, in order for God to get you, he's got to take your life by small increments. He's got to take pieces of your life. The way God got Matthew is He just snookered him. He just put him in a position where
Mm.
Matthew had no choice. And the same thing happened with Tolu. He just put Tolu in a place. He just put you in a place that you just couldn't survive without being busy. And he told you what to be busy and what to do, and he guides you in what to do each day. But you have said personally to Matthew and on the broadcast that your grief for losing your husband just overwhelms you unless you're busy. So the way that you stay alive and protect yourself and give yourself hope is to stay busy. And so, in that way, he snookered Matthew into his life, and he snookered you into following him and doing doing his life. But the average person out there has to be won by increments. It may be your finances. He may ask you to start to give to him. He may ask you to give 10% of your finances. I know Muslims give 2%, but he may start to ask you to give 10% of your money to a good charity. And, we've seen an example of wonderful giving with Taylor Swift giving $26 million to charities a week before her wedding as like a wedding gift to other people. She's getting married, she's celebrating, so she gave, 20 charities, $26 million. And there's good-hearted people in the world. You don't have to be a Christian to be a good-hearted person. So he may start with your money. He may focus in on saying, hey, start to give back. But he may focus in on your work and have you change work or do a different work that will suit your family better and suit him better. Whatever way he speaks to your life, he will slowly, if you listen to him and if you're obedient to him, he'll slowly move increment by increment until he fully possesses your life. And it may be scary to think that God would possess your life, but if you have a building designed, an architect designs a building, and we've covered this before, but we'll cover it again. You know, there's no problems with being good friends with the architect if you've got a builder building your life, and if we just say that Jesus is the builder. If you're working with a builder and you want something changed or something to work better, you can't go to the builder and tell him to put a new wall in. You've actually got to go to the architect. And so if you call God the architect, having a close relationship with the designer of your life is a good thing. And working on the architect's true plans for your life, not the life you're living, but the life that he designed for you, is a good thing. So, yeah, it's true. God doesn't ask for much, he just asks for everything.
You even confuse me the more by completing that your response with that statement again. I know what you mean. To you, Prophet Samuel, God does not ask for much because that's the life you've lived. Your mother has already offered you to God even before you were born. So you were handed over at a very young age. She is brave, by the way, to do that because I'll tell you, if I made that promise to God, I would tell God, please, you could still use him what is right with me. But your mom was so brave to do what she did. And you knew God all your life. So you will say it doesn't ask for much. But to myself and Matthew, do you think God does not ask for much? He just asks for everything. What is your honest answer?
He asks for a lot, but it's the only way I can live.
You didn't ask to.
It's only My life has been hard, but God designed it the way to make me cling on to Him and
Mm,
hold on to Him, and for Him to be my chief possession. And it just happened that I had to be lonely and I had to have a tough life to cling on to Him and run to Him, because He was my only friend and He was my only answer. And so life has been hard for me, but even though I'm lonely and things are hard for me, I find joy in what I do.
absolutely. So I would say how I understand God does not ask for much, He just asks for everything is truly, truly, when you give Him everything, He doesn't ask for much from you. Matthew, even though he has given God everything, what God asks of him every day is just to do this message. And that's it. The rest of the day, he can use it however he wants. So I wouldn't say that is much. Yes, I spend most of my day doing his work, but that's because I wanted to do it. He did not force me. I could be doing 1/10 of what I'm doing now, and he will still love me anyway. So, in a way, I agree with you that he does not ask for much, but at the same time, he does ask for much, Prophet Samuel. So, we will all see that statement differently. But I understand what you mean. I understand. He's taking like almost everything from me. And then I remember one of the Earth crews asking me, why do you do this? I'm like, do you want him to take more things before I listen? Because it's not going to stop. Because this is what I was designed for. So the earlier you obey, the better. Don't you think, Professor Samuel?
Yeah, well, God has two sorts of people in this world: people that He uses and people that He doesn't use.
Wow.
And if He's going to use you for something important for Him, He makes it very tough.
Mm,
Because, you can't sand a piece of wood, you can't cut back a piece of wood without a chisel. And if you're going to be God's chisel, He needs you to be the chisel.
wow.
He
Wow.
can't do what He wants without you. So He's going to
Wow.
put you in a position so you'll agree to be His chisel. And
Wow.
then there's certain people that just live in the world and do their purpose and do what they think they should do, and God pretty much leaves them alone. And then there's people that He wants to use. Taylor, He wants to use you to write different songs, and I think since love has come into your life, your songs will change, and they'll be more God fearing and more blessed. But everyone has got a purpose and a reason. But when God really needs a person, he can make it tough, and doesn't necessarily have to be a Christian.
Yeah,
That He uses. He's got plenty of atheists doing wonderful jobs. He's got plenty
absolutely.
of witches producing wonderful music and acting really well in films and stuff, and doing all sorts of great things. So he doesn't necessarily need a person to be brainwashed in Christianity to do his purpose and do his will. But he does want friends. He does want people who
Mm,
love him and respect him and talk to him and ask his advice. And in heaven, he's got jobs and purposes and directions, and he wants to give people. He wants to change people's work, and he wants to change people's direction. He wants to grow close to people, become their friends, and so God has different things, and depending on different things he wants, and depending on what role he has for you and what he wants you to achieve, that'll make your relationship with him differ.
Wow, I'm glad you clarified that it's just not Christians. He uses anyone, anyone. It doesn't. We are all his children, isn't it? Because for so long, Professor Amma, I used to think when people say God is going to use you, I used to have this Christian connotation that everything you have to do has to be within the wall of the church. That was God using you in my own little understanding. But now I understand that God is using Elon Musk. All the cars he's producing, God is using it. We need someone to do that. And he has been called out. And he's lived a very sacrificial life to be able to do that. Is it Matthew that was saying recently that there was a time he rarely sleeps? That's what it takes to drive Tesla. Someone has devoted his entire life to make that happen. So, but that is not someone in the church. So we all belong to him, and he can decide to use us however he pleases. Just like what you said, if you wanted to become God chaser. Wow, that's profound.
I say profound things, do I?
Yeah, you do. That's
Are you happy to be interviewing a prophet?
oh yes, I am. Because you're one of the best prophets that the Bible ever recorded, Prophet Samuel. You know, you're well respected. Do you experience that in heaven?
Yeah, I do. My mum is really revered high in heaven.
Because of what she did.
What she did and who she is as a person.
Wow,
Yeah. My
man.
mum, you could call my mother Grace. She's just full of the love and compassion of God.
Wow. Did you miss that compassion because you never grew up
I still
with that?
saw her.
You still saw her, okay.
Yeah. But she
Wow.
was like a grandma to me rather than a mother.
Oh,
She's like
wow.
see your grandma once a month or whatever. You don't see them every day when they're
Absolutely.
getting out of bed
Was
and going to bed. You see them once in a while. And Samuel allowed me, like Eli and people overseeing me, allowed me to see my mum all the time. An example of someone who gave up his mother
hmm.
to fulfill the will of God in my life. So
Wow.
sometimes I want to share with you, and this may be hard for some of you to hear, but sometimes your parents and your loved ones get in the way of what God wants to do. Sometimes you've got
Absolutely.
to cut that. Just because they're your mother doesn't mean they're going to influence what you do in your next album or what you do with your life and what you do with your marriage. It's a really heartwarming to see Travis' mother and Taylor's mother holding hands during the ceremony and being really close, but that's a rarity. That's not the
Mm,
norm, and uh, and so sometimes God can only get His best work done with you when you lose your mother.
absolutely.
You know, Matthew lost his mother 4 years ago and talks to her in heaven, and his actual spirit talks to his mother all the time. But she's not here on earth, and he's doing his major work that he was meant to do. She used to encourage him when he published books, and but now she's gone, and this separation makes him sharp. And sometimes, you know, if you're listening on earth, sometimes being taken away from loved ones or people that have significant roles in your life can be God's doing and be God's desire for you. So even marriages, I'll even speak there. Sometimes it's not God's desire for you to be in a marriage. Sometimes he doesn't want you to stick with a violent or toxic person.
Hmm.
Sometimes you live with a controlling person that controls every decision of yours and controls everything you do. Sometimes
Mm.
males consider themselves head of the family, but the males are obstinate and far away from God and can't direct you properly. And so being controlled by a husband that won't listen to God isn't a good thing. So sometimes even a marital situation needs to be separated. And in the right time, God will tell you what sacrifices you may need to make. I'm not diminishing the fact that they may hurt. I lost my mother. I didn't have a proper relationship with my mother, so I can speak to this. But yeah, I think that there's so much potential for you guys to know God and to work with God and develop a relationship with God. He doesn't want the Christianese, Christian brainwashing to influence you. He wants you to be liberated and achieve great things and not be constrained by what society thinks, but able to listen to him and follow his directions.
Wow. I love speaking with you, Prophet Samuel. You're just eating the nail with everything that you say at the right places, in the right places, rather. You said God will do that separation. Yes, it is hard. And sometimes I used to wonder, you're so young when you were taken in. Paul, you remind me of a lot of documentaries I've watched about the Buddhist, that they do take their children very little into the temple to become a monk. They take them very young, maybe 5, 6, 7, and those children will be crying when their mother is leaving. I watched one; it was quite emotional. The parent have chosen for them, you are going to be a monk, and sometimes they choose themselves. Those children choose themselves, but it's a big sacrifice for both parties. The parent or the children cries, but that's what they've chosen for their life. And I would say that is them serving God as well. That is them dedicating their life to God in the way they understand. So everything that you said, separations for me, I have experienced everything. I've experienced separation from my whole family. Yes, God has, my husband was the only person that I had in my life that was the constant person that I've had for maybe 2 decades. I've known him. But my dad died really like maybe 10 or 13 years ago now. I think it was going to be 13 years soon that he's gone home to be with the Lord. But I know if my dad was here, he wouldn't understand what I'm doing. So I'm glad in a way that he's in heaven, because he might struggle to understand why I'm doing this, because my mother does not understand. So there's separation there. I don't really talk to any member of my family. There's separation. I don't have really friends. There's separation. But that is what it takes to be able to do this job. And you have to be willing to take that sacrifice. It's going to be tough. I know Matthew still wrestle with friendship, but I've been able to come to that conclusion. There's no point. There is no point of wrestling with what you're not going to have. But this is where me and Matthew we're different. Matthew will always hunt for friends. Even if they stay for 1 week and they disappear, he will start hunting for another one. That is his life. But I've come to the stage where I've been able to agree that my aunt called me recently, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know it was who was calling me. I thought it was somebody maybe wanting to discuss about work or something. Then when I picked it up, it was my aunt, and she mentioned my name, and she said, "Where have you been? You don't speak to no one." I said, "Well, I can't deal with the family mess. It's too much for my head." And she was just laughing. I said, "Yeah, I can't deal with it. My head can only function for one thing, and that one thing is what I've dedicated my life to. Well, family, sorry, I can't deal with the mess." And I said, "You guys know me by now, so you just have to accept me the way I am." And she was laughing, and then I said bye bye to her, and that was the end of the conversation. So it must have been tough for you, Prophet Sam. I don't find it tough to be separated, really. I've gotten used to it because right from the beginning of my relationship with Ben, it was like both of us were separated out. So it's something that I've practiced for a long time. So now I'm used to it. But did you find it really difficult? Did you add any resentment towards your mother for
No,
doing that?
Eli passed on some messages from my mother that she passed on when I was a young boy, and as I grew with Eli, he passed on the messages from my mother, and they fixed any resentment or anything I was unhappy with, and I was
Wow.
like a monk. It's interesting that you mentioned monk. I was basically dedicated and brought up in the temple to serve the
Yeah.
Lord. And I just want to share with people that, especially the audience that aren't Christians, do you know, you may be close to your mother or father, you may be close to your sisters and brothers, and they may know you well. You may realize that they know you well and they love you for who they are. They see who you are. If you've got a mother and brother or sisters and brothers that see who you are, that's a good thing, and that makes you happy. But God knows you so much more.
Hmm.
Even though you may be a stranger to God and you don't know Him, He's been watching and seeing everything you've done, and He knows you really well. And you'll be surprised if you have a conversation with Him, how much He actually does know and how much He remembers out of everything that you've done so far in your life. You could talk about anything, and He's really good to talk to. Um,
Wow.
so
Wow.
God will ask you for things, but um, He doesn't
Mhm.
force He doesn't force most people into things. Even though Matthew confessed before that his basic life was lonely and had hardship, and he's basically been forced into doing what he's doing. And Tolu found herself in the same position. And I said before, when God's got a really good purpose for you, you're basically forced to do that. You know, you can look at someone like Elon Musk, and you know, you could ask him the question if you're in an interview, do you feel like you were compelled, it's like forced
Mhm.
to do what you did? And you may get an answer out of him to say that
Yeah,
my mind wouldn't turn off until I did it. I couldn't stop,
absolutely.
you know. I felt compelled. So you may even find out of him that he had no other choice. He
Mm-mm.
had to do what he did. I don't want to take this opportunity to soften the blow with you, because it's no use being soft. It's no use being hard, but it's no use being soft. But there's so many of you listening today that have been listening for a while
Hmm.
on Earth, that God has been telling you to give up something or give up someone or to
Wow.
change careers or to do something that you've been pushing away. You've been thinking that's not the right thought and that's not the right way. And there's a lot of you hearing me say this right now, and you're aware that I'm talking about you. And there's lots of you in that position in this Bible has a term, the valley of decision. And it is a valley. It's a sad place. It's a scary place. Having to give up someone that you love, give up a
Mm.
parent, give up a friend, give up a sister, give up a father, give up a job, give up a career, give up a husband. I was talking to specific women here that are in abusive relationships, and you need to get away from that and give up that husband and make a way for yourself and make plans to be able to support yourself outside of that relationship. There's so many of you listening here that now that I'm talking about this, that you know that I'm talking about you, and
Mm.
God knows what's going to happen in a year's time. He knows what's going to happen in your life in a year's time if you make this decision, and a year's time if you don't make this decision. And he's not forcing you, but he's compelling you. He's using me as a prophet from the Old Testament, a very accurate prophet, a really world-renowned prophet in even Islam and in the Jewish faith and in the Christian faith, well-renowned throughout each of the faiths. He's using me to say, "Hey,
Hmm.
make that decision, make make that change, do what your conscience, do what your intuition is leading you to do." And it's costly. It's something costly for all of you. It's something that you don't want to do. But use this interview to propel you forward. How did I know this? How did I know this about you? How did I know there were individuals here listening that have to make this decision? And yeah, so I encourage you to reach out to God and ask him questions about the decision or find out information about how to progress based on what you need to do. But have the courage to make that decision.
Wow, that's such a beautiful encouragement for people that are listening now. Because what you said there about Elon, I was thinking as well. You just expressed it for me in a better way. I was thinking maybe he was forced to do what he's doing as well, in one way or the other. And I look at so many successful people that have been successful in their life, in their business, in their career. It's because they've given so much to that career. That's why they are successful. A lot of people want to have success. People can look at what's the guy that owns Jeff Bezos, that owns Amazon, and people can say, "Oh yes, he's got a lot of money. He does this." Oh, I'm sure. Maybe that was why he lost his first wife. Maybe because he devoted too much of time to the business. Elon has never had a steady relationship. He always loses his partners because he doesn't have time for them.
Yeah,
And that's the price he's had to pay to be who he is today. Like I heard a story about Oprah Winfrey recently that Oprah Winfrey has divorced three husbands, and it's always the same reason. If she prioritized work over the marriage,
yeah,
the work takes over. And that's why she's successful.
yeah,
So, and the same thing is for God. If you want to be a success in the things that you do for God, if you want to fulfill your destiny, if you want to be intimate, to be close to God, it will cost you something precious. It will cost you your time, it will cost you your resources. But you have to make that decision. Do I really want to be close to him? But some of us, we never had the opportunity even to make the decision. The decision was made for us. Even Prof. Samuel, I would say the same is your case. The decision was made for you. Well, you can either walk out of it or you could stick to it. You stick to it. Matthew has stick to it, whether he likes it or not, even though he still comes with his complaints. No, we are doing this. No room for money. If you want whatever is worth doing, do it right, or you don't do it at all. That's my principle. I am either in or out. And that's why I can't deal with friends, because a lot of friendship out there, they just want to be one leg in so that they can benefit from you, and the other leg out, they don't care about you. They're just in that friendship to take from you. And I'm not going to do that kind of friendship. Every friendship has to be give and take. Any friendship that is take, crossed out for me. It's crossed out. So
and they've also got to. This is Matthew speaking. They've also got to have something to bring you. Not
they
only
have to.
not only not take, but it takes a pretty advanced person to even have a 1 hour conversation with you, because you're not going to talk about cake and catering and kids and stuff for an hour. You want to talk about what you're interested in. And if they
Absolutely.
can't keep up with what you're doing and what you're interested in, you're just wasting your time trying to have a conversation.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking, oh, that 1 hour, I should have finished my next book. What am I doing here? I'm gone. Yeah. So there is a price to pay. That's what Prophet Samuel is saying. And for it doesn't matter the religion you are listening now. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, your background. You want to be close to God. If you put in the work, you will achieve it. That's what you're saying, Prophet Samuel, isn't it? If you're in
Yeah,
heaven,
yeah. I want to especially uh, concentrate on the people on Earth that are listening. Uh,
oh,
uh, just in this segment, um, Matthew heard it uh, about how to achieve success is
mm,
work out what you want, work out the price that needs to be paid to achieve that, and then pay the price.
wow.
And people don't have success in this world because they don't ever do the time to work out what they need to do to be successful. But if they
Absolutely.
do work out what they need to do to be successful and they work out the price, they're not willing to pay the price.
No.
So there's very few people that are actually successful in their fields in the world because people just not bothered about being successful. And Matthew's speaking to himself here. There's so many things that he could achieve that he's just too lazy or he's got excuses to. And Tolu knows him so well. She should be able to confess and admit all these things about him. She still loves him, but he could be a whole lot more successful if he applied himself. So we're not just speaking to you and saying that we don't understand this. There's certain things that Matthew could do to have success on YouTube, but they just nothing seems to work for him. But there would be something that successful YouTubers are doing that he could apply to make his channel better. But he's been told also by God that he'll never be a success. So it's sort of he's tried and tried and tried, and it doesn't work. But um, you know, God, it may be hard for you to understand God because you don't know Him like Matthew knows Him and I know Him. But there's no one more prouder
Mm,
than God of your success of the things
mm,
you achieve. You know, God is like God is like an estranged father who the mother never allowed the father to see the children, but the father's done his research and found out where his children go to school and what they do at school and when they go to school. And he goes and stands by the gate and watches his child play and stuff. And he introduces himself to the teachers and say he's an estranged father, but he'd like to know when his daughter's in a competition. And imagine him getting a relationship with the teacher and the teacher saying, oh, she's playing a basketball final on Friday at 4 o'clock on the main court. And him going to the thing and sitting in the stands, her mother's too busy. He's the only parent there. And daughter doesn't even know it's him, but he's
mm.
cheering the most. He's making a real scene there, and the other people are looking at him. The daughter doesn't even know this person cheering is her father. That's who God is to you.
Mm,
He's that estranged father who knows everything about you, that he loves you just like a father missing his daughter. And he's just in heaven, he just misses you and he just wants to know you. And like we've used examples of Elon Musk and other creative people like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos Amazon didn't make a profit for the first 20 years.
Imagine.
It was lauded as this successful internet
Hmm.
e-commerce website. It's probably the first e-commerce website on the internet. And he labored and poured money into that for many, many years before it turned a profit. Now he's had a success because he forged something that was successful.
Absolutely.
And there's just millions of businesses on the internet. You know, Matthew funded his ministry for 10 years off the internet, earning money off the internet. So many successful people pay a price. And
Hmm.
God, God's that father in the stand, and he comes to your basketball matches. He comes and watches you perform. For Taylor, he's in the audience and he's watching her sing. He knows the lyrics of all her songs. He knows her life. He knows the actual action. He remembers her sitting down and writing the lyrics and getting the music for each of her songs. He knows you intimately, and he wants to use you, and he wants you to make a decision to follow him and not so much become a Christian and not become religious. Uh,
Hmm.
he just wants to oversee your life and direct you and champion you.
Wow. I love that analogy you gave there. Because what you've just said there is actually happening. I've seen it before. I think maybe it's in Thailand or it's one of the Asia or China. I can't remember the country where husband and wife they can be in relationship and one day one of the parties can just take away the children without warning you, and the law does not allow you to move closer to them ever again. So I saw so many fathers, especially people that are not from the country that they married. Maybe they're from Australia, especially Australia people marry a lot of these Chinese, Thailand women, and they don't have any access to their children any longer, and you have to go through the law, and it takes long time, it takes ages. So they know there's a loophole in the law that foreigners do not know, so they use that. And I see this father that this lady started a charity where the children will be in a car. She'll go and get them from school, like she's taking them on excursion, and you see the parent just watch the father watching from afar, just seeing a glimpse of their children. So it's happening, like the story you've just said now. And you could see how their heart breaks. So if a human father can do that, how much more God? So does that mean that that's been the root cause of God's sadness? Because he's estranged from a lot of his children.
He he's like that father. It's like someone. It's for instance, another analogy is like this scientist spending time in his class teaching physics to his children or chemistry to his children.
Hmm.
In the spare time, sitting at his desk, writing formulas and writing like a formula for a new cleaner or a new solvent to be used and really friendly to the environment stuff. And it's about him getting removed from his job because someone come to replace him or whatever, and him being marched out by security, but he didn't get to take the formula off his desk.
Hmm.
And someone's come along and who's got a chemistry background and seen that the formula looks good and gone and used the ingredients and made the thing and said this is a really powerful solvent. They took it to market and it become like the market's best solvent and
Yeah.
real bestseller. How would that guy feel knowing his solvent is the most successful? He'd be happy. He'd be happy for the success of his invention. but he'd like to be recognized for it.
Mm.
He doesn't need the money. He'd just like someone to say created by such and such instead of this imposter that put his name on it and uh, and made it popular. And God's just a chemistry teacher with a formula, and you're the invention. You're the solvent, and he
Wow.
just wants to take credit for you. He wants to a- achieve his recognition. And so many of you, if Matthew and Tolu's life are an example and people's lives are an example, so many of you have suffered and had hard things. And so many of us, so many people on earth blame God for all the hardships and all the
Yeah.
trouble. Well, he's also the author of that. He's also
Mm.
understood those hard things and those hard things that came to your life. But unless you talk to him, how can you ever know what he
Wow.
feels about those things and why he allowed
Wow.
those certain things? Some girls who have been raped and trafficked for 20 years, for 15 years or whatever, they come out and they help thousands and thousands of trafficked women in counselling and therapy and houses that take on trafficked women. So many people who've been really heavily abused really help thousands of people who've been heavily abused. And would you take them out? Would you say, no, we're not going to have those helpers? We're
Mm.
not going to have those people that help thousands of people. We need to stop abuse. You shouldn't even allow abuse in that girl's life. Or are you going to allow that abuse if it's going to bring a healer that's going to heal things? So there's multiple reasons for the reasons why God does certain things and allows certain things. But God's a chemistry teacher, and you're the
Mm.
success. Uh, at least acknowledge Him with a prayer,
Wow.
with a call out
Wow.
to Him. Thank you for my life.
Wow.
My life's been
Wow.
hard, but can you tell me, can you answer these questions? And he'd be happy if you're reading God and the atheist, or God and the witch, or God and the Buddhist, or God and the Sikh, and God and the Hindu, God and the Muslim. If you're reading these books, you'll realize that God doesn't mind questions, and he's
Mm.
not threatened by your questions, and he's not going to get defensive. He's always going to answer with patience and love, and he's a lot different to what you believe. But uh, don't live another day of your life without giving him some recognition.
Wow. I love that. Don't live a day in your life without giving him a recognition. Wow.
Yeah, you're getting some good analogies today, aren't you?
Yeah. Wow. It's so beautiful speaking with you, Professor Samuel. And Matthew just carries your voice so excellently.
It's because we're both prophets.
So, so you could connect to each other in that way. Wow. After all these years with God, what still surprises you about him?
He's resilient.
Hmm.
Yeah. He went through a really tough season for hundreds of years, a lot of sadness and depression, and it's so nice to see him coming out of it. But he's just resilient. Even though things weren't working with the Christian faith, with heaven, with the earth, with control, with everything, things weren't working, as driving him deeper and deeper into depression and anger. He wouldn't give up.
Wow.
He wouldn't give up what the scripture says and what the doctrine he believed in said and stuff. He drove himself into a wall and started hitting his head against a wall, and finally he reached a stage saying, I've had enough. And
Wow.
we all remember that season months ago where he said that, and June stepped in. But
Hmm.
he's got amazing resilience. He's he's seeing the revival in heaven. He's seeing what you're doing to Lou and the effect that you're having on heaven. He knows that 99.9% of Christians on earth have got no awareness of what's happening in heaven.
Yeah.
He knows that even in the last week since there's been revival in heaven, there's further Christians getting thrown out of heaven. They're not submitting to heaven's rules and heaven's thing. And he's not giving up, but he's really, for the first time I talked to him, he's got hope. He's talking
Mm.
about the future. He's talking about his dreams, talking about achieving certain things. Uh, because this great darkness that's been on his head is
Wow.
lifted.
Wow.
It's like there used to be a cloud around God. And,
Wow.
scripture says he dwells in darkness. And that he was just overcome by the darkness. And so he's got so much resilience. And I'm aware that has been mentioned a lot of times, and it's been mentioned a lot because it's the strongest thing in God. He's got a lot of love and compassion, but his compassion drives him into the wall. And
Mm.
in order to cope with depression, he's got to have the resilience to cope with it.
Wow.
Matthew's going to go to the toilet and make a coffee, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Well, I've got no choice, Prophet Samuel.
You got
It's
that?
got. I've got no choice.
Hello.
Welcome back, Matthew. Oh, I've forgotten what I wanted to say before you did go to toilet. But I'm going to ask you, Prophet Samuel, do you think you had a good life?
Yeah, I had an extraordinary life. Matthew's not aware of when I died, how far into David's reign that I died, but I was able to live long enough to see David on the throne.
Hmm.
And I know from history that I was shown in heaven that Israel was attacked and was constantly fighting and in warfare, and it would have
Yeah.
been good to be with David and being able to give him battle strategy and
Mm.
to work with him as a prophet is meant to work with a king. But I had a good life, and once again, to the people on earth, the good life is basically summed up in finding what you're meant to do and doing what you're meant to do. And there's so many people who aren't Christians. Matthew wants to apologize for how many years he brought a Christian message through this platform.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
so many lives that are really successful, beautiful lives that aren't lived by Christians. Tolu wants to personally apologize. She'll agree that she basically thought success was being a Christian, and you couldn't live God's will without being a Christian, and you couldn't work for God or do anything for God unless it was a Christian thing, and she believed that years ago. So we apologise personally, like Matthew and Tolu apologised to Tiffany, and finally messages are changing, having a different flavour, but. I want you to know, all you people listening telepathically, and even the people listening in heaven from other faiths, we finally acknowledge now that God has love for all of you, and success can be found through all your faiths and all your religions. And God just wants to be that single father that
mm.
is watching you from the sidelines. He just wants you to come up and meet him and acknowledge him. And he wants to be that chemical professor who is teaching, who's produced a great product. As you achieve success and you become a great product, your professor, your creator, God, just would love you to acknowledge him and at least say hello. You only have to say hello once every 10 years. You only have to say hello once. He'd be so overjoyed. Like, and the strange father would be so happy if his daughter, when she's got a couple of kids, looked up her ancestry and found out his name and went and sought him out and knocked on his door with a couple of kids and said, "Am I your daughter?" And he meet his grandchildren, meet his daughter. He'd be so overjoyed. And she said, "I can't promise to come back often, but I'll try and pop in once every 6 months and see how you are." And he'd be overjoyed if she said a month, if she said a week, whatever she wants to do, he'd be happy with. And the same as God would be happy to hear from you. And perhaps if you ask him enough questions and he answers your questions right, perhaps you'll pop in more than once.
Wow. My God. Thank you, Professor Samuel. Wow. I know you must have had so many conversations with God, but what conversation with him changed you more than any other?
When he told me that King Saul wasn't his choice anymore, and he wanted me to appoint David,
Wow.
and it filled me with joy that he had another king planned and another king that was a love to his heart, someone that pursued his heart, and it was fabulous to actually meet David and for God to say this is him, and to have a talk with him and spend some time with him before I anointed him. It was a great thing in my life, and I could basically, after anointing him, which gives him the authority to be king, it was, Matthew doesn't remember, like 17 years after that, that he
Yeah,
actually became king. But
yeah,
that
was it?
gave him the authority to be king. After I anointed him, I was happy, and I could have easily died and rested with my ancestors in death after that. So that
Wow.
God acknowledging that he'd made the wrong decision. And that's the
Wow.
thing where God made a wrong decision when he anointed King Saul, and he didn't go straight to David. So yeah, so we can all make mistakes. Even God can make mistakes, and many people hearing that would have an issue with that. That God is infallible and doesn't make mistakes, and if we're born in his image, we should react like him. And if we can make mistakes, maybe the fact that he made mistakes. And so I was so glad when he told me to switch out Saul for David.
Thank you. Professor Samuel, I see it a little bit differently there. Choosing King Saul was not a mistake. People do change. There's so many people that God has called today to carry his voice, but they've gone on to do their own thing. We will say God made the mistake for appointing Benny in? No. Kenneth Copeland? No. But people have got free will to choose.
Yeah, well, that's where your editing comes in. Uh, you're a good editor. You're a very good. You're a very good editor, Tolu. So not everything Matthew says is correct.
I know now, because it's just like Matthew saying God made a mistake of choosing him. He has done so many things worse than King Saul.
Yeah.
So does that mean God made a mistake giving him this ministry? No.
Let's not talk about that.
Exactly. So King Saul was not a mistake. He did well at the beginning, and of course, he got distracted. Every one of us will do. If you were given the opportunity to be king, Matthew, like King Saul was, do you think you would do better than what
I
he
wouldn't
did?
have lived up to it. I haven't got the capacity to do that.
Absolutely. So I think King Saul did what he was supposed to do. Even in our failure, God is God is still happy with whatever we've done. He still appreciates the fact that he surrendered so many years of his life to be a king, and falling off and getting up is part of life. You fall, you get up. You fall, you get up. But that does not mean that God has made a mistake about you. So I didn't see a mistake. I just see that was the life that Saul was supposed to live. And don't forget, people requested for him. So maybe sometime God was like, you requested Ave, shock it in the face. Ave, wherever it happens to you between you and King Saul, that's your business. Because they asked for him. So yeah, what they asked for. So thank you, Professor Mo. I still have a lot of questions for you. So we'll continue tomorrow if you don't mind.
I
Because
don't mind.
there's so many
How many
things.
questions did you write down?
How many questions? That's Matthew asking me a question. I know it's not you, Professor Samuel, asking me that question.
Oh, that's all right. It
So
really is Matthew asking that question. How many questions did you write
eh,
down?
I'm not answering that question either. So, so thank you, Professor Samuel. We love you. Yeah. So has anyone got any questions for Professor Samuel?
I'm a clairvoyant and a psychic. My name is Julie, and I'm listening on Earth. I've always revered and respected a person who would call themselves a prophet. They're pretty rare individuals. Samuel, what would you say is the difference between me and a prophet? Well, you're both gifted. A psychic and a clairvoyant is gifted and can hear from another source. I just would say that many times your source isn't God, it isn't God, but a fallen spirit like a fallen angel or someone in the psychic realm, an ascended master, someone who's a former person who practiced witchcraft on earth. And many times it's my belief you've got a good heart and you come from a good place, and many of you are full of love and compassion and want to help other people. switching over to becoming a prophet would be a step that you could make. Matthew's got 4 books on the prophetic, on being a prophet. Perhaps they could help you. But you're dearly loved by God, and whatever you're operating in your gift and helping people, God loves you. And a prophet, there's not a lot of them on earth that are really close to God and really doing everything God does. There's a lot more clairvoyants and psychics in the world. But you're loved, and I love you, and thank you for speaking up. It's a hard calling, and you'd imagine your calling is hard too. Like gifted people, we've got to practice our gifts. So I lead you towards Matthew's books on the prophetic. You can look up the word prophetic and Matthew Robert Payne on Amazon. He's got 4 books on the life of a prophet and gifts of prophecy. And thanks for your question.
Thank you. Have we got anyone in heaven as well, Matthew?
Yeah, John in heaven says, were asks, were you happy with what you achieved, Samuel? Did you feel like you made a mistake? Like Matthew used your voice to say that you made a mistake. Do you think you made a mistake with Saul, or was that God's decision? It was God's decision, and he, like Tolu says, he did a good job for the first years, and was a good king, and you've got to accept in life. Life is full of good and bad, and bad exists. It does. It's not necessarily bad. It's just not the right choice. And we all make choices on grades, and some mothers are better mothers because they make better choices, but doesn't mean an average mother isn't good too. So when you look at the life of Paul and his kingship, it was a good choice, but it wasn't the best choice. But it was a good choice for its time and for its season. So when you grade mothers, there's an excellent mother. You'll see her with 2 bags, one for her change of her child and one with dinners and like bottles and all sorts of things in it. There's certain mothers that are really prepared, and it's just the best mother. She just reads all the books and does all the things. And so many mothers would be embarrassed to be in a company. They'd feel like not as good a mother, but every mother's a good mother, and every choice God makes is a good one. I didn't have to feel insecure about my choice of anointing King Saul.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Wow. Thank you, Professor Samuel. It's good speaking with you today. I really enjoy having these conversations. So I've got how many minutes more, Matthew? 7.
7 minutes.
I'm sure you're excited. It's not Saturday, it's not Sunday.
You've become a mind reader. You've been dealing with witches too much.
They've become my friend, witches. I love them now. Yeah. Wow. I just don't like when you title it Ministering to the People in Darkness. That's not a good way of expressing the message that we're doing here.
Yeah.
You're already judging them by that line. So Matthew, go correct yourself. You've just done a message as well about people in darkness. Go correct the title. It's not just them in darkness. Do you think you are in darkness as well, Matthew?
In ways, yeah.
Exactly. So why do you label them that? So yes, people that you want to listen, you want them to listen might not listen because that title alone can put them off. So, Papa, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm in a good mood. The Buddhists have been marching in to see me today.
Oh, wow.
They've got all their songs now, or they've got 9 or 10 songs now.
They've got 9. One more. Wow. Do they like their songs? That Buddhist song was challenging for me.
The Enlightenment number one isn't as good as the Enlightenment without the number one.
Well, Matthew, you are the one speaking now. It's not Papa
Yeah.
speaking. I didn't ask you that. Matthew! Yeah. So, Papa, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. My friends are increasing.
Wow. Are you coping well with
Yeah, I'm
the.
prepping well.
Wow.
It's like a
Man.
tidal wave of people coming in to see me now.
Wow. That's what you've always wanted.
Yeah, I've had to adjust the way I do things.
Yeah, we all had to adjust. If it works, that's the most important thing. Because, Papa, you can give your children those kind of rules that you can't speak to me until you mature to this level or you can see me. So I'm glad they're coming in drones and you're happy. I love you, Papa. I just wanted to say hello to you. So, Ben, how are you? Why are you doing that to me, Matthew? Okay,
I was just guessing Ben would be next. So
how are
I'm
you?
really good, my love.
How is everything?
Yeah, good.
Are you happy with Samuel, Professor Samuel?
I saw Victoria sitting by herself in a cafe, and I listened, and she was talking to someone, but I couldn't see the person. And and uh, and I realised that must have been what Matthew was saying on the broadcast yesterday, that he was going to be invisible.
Are you sure that happened?
Yeah, Victoria said to Matthew today that she really enjoyed her time out with him, and he never got distracted, and it's taken it to another level. She was so happy. It's her best
Oh,
her best date that she'd had with Matthew. So your you know your intuition about making him into a ball of light and making him invisible really worked for in his life. All your intuitions seem to work. You're, you're trying to get intuition for someone that hadn't had a wife, King
oh,
Paul,
mm,
yesterday, and you were trying to hone in there yesterday.
Apostle Paul needs. And then the wife, that's the truth. You don't want to live in eternity by yourself. Yeah. So I can feel it once, at least one, but it's a little bit shy to discuss about it because it's never had one. And it's a lot of changes for him as well. So, yeah. But the right time will come when Apostle Paul will be more willing to accept that offer. Don't you think he needs a wife?
Yeah, that would be good. Everyone could do
Yeah.
with a wife.
Yeah. It makes them a better person. Yeah, but he's used to that lifestyle. So to him, that he's not missing anything because he's never had it. So,
Yeah.
wow. How did you remember that, Ben, from yesterday?
Yeah, well, we remember things.
Wow. I love you, Ben.
See you.
That's Matthew. Thank you. I shall see you, darling. But thank you, Matthew, for saying the Seer. He was so excited. Just 2 minutes to go. Oh my God.
Emmanuel,
Yes. Thank you for saying that for me. Emmanuel, how are you, darling?
I'm good, Mum. I've been giving you revelations, haven't I?
Yeah, you have been, you always give me revelation, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you doing as well?
I'm doing good. Vanessa's good.
Oh,
Matthew's
that's
wife are
good.
good.
That's
Epstein's
good.
good. The
Oh,
Leadership of
everyone is
Heaven is
good.
good. Charlie Kirk is good. Everyone's
Wow.
good.
Everyone is good, basically.
Yeah.
We're happy.
Vanessa's parents come up each day. They make a daily visit to us each day
Oh,
to see how
does,
she's
does
progressing.
wow, does it coincide to when I come as well? Do we meet?
Yeah, you've met them.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good for Vanessa, isn't it? To
Yeah.
still establish that connection
It's
with
every
them.
earthly day, so it's once every uh three 3 weeks. One,
Like when they sleep.
yeah,
Oh wow. That it would be good to speak to them when I'm in heaven. That's beautiful. Wow. Heaven has got so many things in store, isn't it? That we are
yeah,
not aware of. I love you, Emmanuel. I can see that Vanessa, you and Vanessa, you're doing really well. I can see it in your voice. I can feel it rather in your voice. Oh, Daddy, I'm saying hello to you as well. I've got to dash up. I'm
yeah.
saying hello.
Good to see your daughter.
Yeah. I love you all, Matthew.
Radio. See you later, everybody. Thank you for listening.